So, Erin, do you remember where you were and how you felt when you first heard about the 15th of March Chrischurch attacks?
So I remember where I was, and I spoke to a few of my friends actually today when I said that I was coming here, about whether they remembered where they were, and we all do. We were able to pinpoint the exact moment when we found out, that something had happened in Christchurch, and then when we found out more information about it, and probably the next couple of days we knew everything that we were doing those days. It's kind of burnt into our brains.
So what was your emotion and how you felt in the first 24, 48 hours when you heard about the attack?
Initially, it was just disbelief. Like, there's no way that this was happening, in New Zealand and so close. I mean, Christchurch is close. And I guess the next day it was more kind of, as more details came out, it was more starting to get like anger, like that the laws allowed something like this to happen. Obviously sadness for the people that had lost their lives and family members. Yeah.
Do you remember what you do at that time, or what action did you take? Because do you feel like you need to do something about it? Did you try to do it? What do you do? Do you remember? What's your action? Your first 24, 48 hours action?
Probably the next day, I think. My work did a group thing where we all went to the Islamic Centre in Kenners Creek and just dropped off some flowers. There was someone that was there, kind of just spoke to them briefly, and it felt kind of hopeless. There was nothing we could really do, anything more than just share our sorrow for them that had happened.
What do you know about Islam before March 15, if anything?
Very little. I did a bit of travel in Turkey, and Ramadan was on then, but apart from knowing that everyone was up late, that was all I knew. I didn't know anything. Nothing at all.
Do you happen to have friends or family, or people that you know are Muslim that live with you, that you know of for a while?
So I didn't know anyone who was Muslim at all, apart from the ones that I'd met in Turkey. Never come across anyone who was Muslim in my life.
You just expand a little bit on your background, so where you are. I mean, and obviously you're Kiwis, and where were you? What do you do for work and things?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I work in mental health. In Porirua, we do community mental health services. We service the Wellington, Porirua, Kapiti and Hutt regions. And we do services for people that are in prison being released. And I'm I do HR and a bit of service management.
Do you think intolerance is something that you expected or that you've seen in New Zealand?
Intolerance, no. I didn't think that was part of New Zealand culture. I kind of grew up in Porirua, seemed very multicultural, and everyone seemed to be accepted there. March was a shock. It was definitely not something that I expected would happen ever in New Zealand.
Have you witnessed or you heard about anyone that has an Islamophobic attitude, or like girls being pulled their hijab or anything along that line, or anyone being racist toward one another, anything along that line at all in your experience being a Kiwi?
I have seen it. I haven't, I'd say before I started coming to the mosque, I wouldn't have noticed this kind of slight jabs that people would take. I have noticed it since coming here. I have a few friends that were in the military, and it seems to be mainly coming from them. But I don't know if it was common before then, but yeah, maybe a couple of slight jabs at Muslims since then.
So do you feel the way how the media portrayed the Muslims before 15th of March and how the media reported about the Muslim after 15th of March have changed?
I can't say that that's something I would have noticed. It's, yeah.
Something that you don't. That's fine. No worries. Do you believe there are positive that came out from this event?
A positive, I think, would be maybe a bit more acceptance of people's different beliefs. Yeah, I mean, my friends know that I come to the mosque and they're all very supportive of any decisions that I have with regards to coming here or the trainings that I do or anything to do with the mosque. I'm not sure if that would have been the same then. I think they would have just been like, why? Now they're just like, oh, yep, cool. You do whatever's good for you.
So obviously you start coming to the mosque and learning Arabic and all that after March 15. You just want to share a bit of experience, how it all started and what were the benefit from you that you got out of that?
How did it start? So I was talking to a friend who is Muslim and kind of asked a few questions and they answered what they could. Then I picked up a copy of the Quran, read that, and then thought I should probably visit a mosque because it'd be like reading the Bible and never visiting a church. And then I really enjoyed the Fridays that I came to, and apart from COVID, I think I've come to all of the Fridays since I started.
So do you encourage people to attend the mosque, the local mosque, or meet with the Muslims just to kind of have their understanding? That's something that you would advise or you would encourage for them to do?
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to visit the mosque, even if it's not to look at changing faiths or even accepting a different faith. I think just to meet new people and see what people are about. Yeah.
Do you think that the March 15 have bring up that more togetherness or the kotaitanga between the people in New Zealand? One of the comments I got from one of the survivors was, yes, 51 people died, but we've gained a family of 5 million. That's one of the comments that he gave to me. What do you think? Is the 15th of March changed that landscape and improved that relationship in New Zealand?
I don't know. I guess I would say it has improved the community as a whole, I think, where I would hope everyone is faster to call people out on some of the stuff they say, kind of shut down some of the intolerance.
Do you have any words for the Muslim community and the wider community with regards to March 15?
I guess it was very vocal the few days and weeks after the attack that the rest of New Zealand supports the community, and I just hope that that's still felt, 2 years later.
What about towards the Muslim community? Is there any specific message to them, or?
I don't know.
That's all right. Okay. I think that's probably pretty much it. March 15 and all that. I guess one last question, if you can talk about, because we wanted to reflect on the positive things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you remember the overwhelming support, the flowers and all that? What do you think of that environment at that time? How do you feel then as a Kiwi with what happened and how the Kiwis responded to it? Do you think this is, people talk about that New Zealand is an exemplary, in terms of the way of responding to hate.
Yeah.
We would have probably not see the same thing if this were to happen in the US or in France. Yeah.
So this was something else that me and my friend spoke about, and we said about how fast, changes were made to the gun laws, which we definitely wouldn't have seen that in the States or anything like that, and maybe didn't go far enough, but the changes were fast. And I mean, when we went to the Islamic Centre in Cannons Creek, it was packed there, and there were just flowers all up the side, and it was quite nice. And people from all walks of life were there to show support too at that time.